I'm almost like the governor. What I want to say with this very short intervention is to call your attention on some things that are not quite clear, not enough considered in the gold exploration in our country. And I have this interest because if we analyze the present situation of exploration and the success of the explorations, we will see that there are some spots, some focus places with high and intensive activity, and other units, morphostructural or other geological provinces of the country, that probably have less interest or less consideration because they are not as spectacular as these deposits that we at present know. The trends of exploration in the world. In general terms, and taken from the last report of Metals Economic Group, say that it is divided in equal parts: exploration around known deposits, the advanced exploration of deposits in the way to become a mine or in development, and basic exploration or grassroots. If we observe this basic book for consultation regarding the ore resources in Argentina, we will find in one of the pages 140, 150 references to the claims of gold under the subject gold, and there is a list that goes on in another page, but this is enough as an example. If we take the projects that are well known from that list, we'll see that there are many claims that are spread along the west of Argentina in different geological environments that make us think not only we have Pascual Lama, Veladeros, and Vanguardias, there are also certain probabilities, high probabilities, that the geological environment might be favorable to find the models that we have not yet evaluated in deep. In Argentina, we do better with the word class than with the word cup. What do we have? We have mines. They are in the stage in which exploration is developed around known deposits. And we have advanced exploration, advanced survey that is normally around those projects. If we notice, looking at the map, the mining map, in terms of mine property, the El Deseado Massif looks like New York, or the San Juan Cordillera, and the west of the San Juan Cordillera, the San Juan mountain range, and Salta, and the Northwest in general. They're all well covered with mining claims, with mine claims that are planning an exploration, an exploitation, and with concrete reference. We've seen it in previous talks and also in the previous module. We have epithermal deposits with low sulfidation along the El Deseado that are very well described, and we heard about them in the previous module. And in this province of San Juan, we have big expectations for Casposo, Castaño Nuevo, Castaño el Viejo, Manantiales, deposits around San Juan that our colleague of Elementos mining company showed. And also in the epithermals, in the known models, classical models, the most orthodox models are the high sulfidation, intermediate sulfidation like Kevar, Diablillos, Pascualama et al., because around Pascualama and around Veladero there is an intense activity of research, intense activity of exploration, looking for another Pascualama or another Veladero that might be around somewhere. And what we have is porphyry, copper, porphyry, and copper gold porphyries, because it changes towards the east from the typical porphyries of Chile going to porphyries with greater content of gold like in Agua Rica. And the new projects that are starting, and hopefully we will have news about feasibility for Linderos, Rio Grande or Cerro Elda, projects that reflect somehow the geology and the style of mineralization similar to the Chilean side. And our example in Hualcamayo, that is a small example, one single example of mineralization related to calcareous sediments that is related to the Carlin mineralization style. And finally the skarns of Waliland, and I'm taking individually isolated examples, some of the best known examples, those that we saw when we were students, the practical examples of typical deposits. So I believe that now we go to basic exploration in our country. What do we do with exploration? What can we say? First alternative is to continue with the models already known, to go on looking for the Vanguardia, Cerro Vanguardia. There must be someone there. There is not only one. Normally there is not a single one. And Cerro Moro, and the models related to rhyolitic domes that are appearing in the Patagonia. Interesting mineralization, like in El Pingüino deposit, that is the only manifestation with indio. And I saw the Toyoja mine in the year 92 when it was in operation, by the way. Second possibility is to creatively wonder and ask ourselves, what else could be there? Because gold spreads in the crust, but not only in single environments. There are some environments that are more spectacular, others that are less spectacular, and that are alternatives, sophisticated alternatives, or probably hidden alternatives that represent an attractive challenge for those that are connected with exploration from the scientific base. That is the reason why this opens for me the possibility that Argentina could become a mining company, not a mining country, not a country with mining, but a mining country. If things go on as we are doing now, with the strength of the activity, and if we continue reinforcing the presence of the mining industry and gathering the knowledge necessary for mining, we will be able to serve this industry and be one of the most important gold producers of the world in short time. And my question is, what do we do with basic exploration? Well, the first thing I would wonder, if I can make this work. Well, which are the models that do not have examples, do not have defined nor well-known examples yet? Allow me take number 2. Because after the explanation by Walter Setti, I think we are in the right way to look for a more effective manner to find the Carling type deposits. An important system are the intrusion related gold systems, and these elements represent an important, or probably the most important amount of gold in the world. And Carling-type deposits are another important aspect. The orogenic gold is another model that we still don't have with enough development. It's not as familiar as we could talk about the Cerro Vanguardia veins or the breccias of Veladero. And finally, we have the IOCG, that are the iron, copper, gold oxides deposits. But there is knowledge, but it's not firm knowledge about that model. We haven't yet found a model of this kind. So what we wonder, what we ask ourselves, and the questions are almost answered, but is there a possibility to find these deposit models in Argentina, these deposits that are different to the classical ones? There is a possibility to analyze the information and reinterpret it. There is old information with stories and analysis and geological analysis. It's very valuable. We need to look at that again, revisit it, reinterpret it, take that knowledge that is mainly in paper and reinterpret it to see if we can find evidence of different types of deposits. We have a calcareous strip of more than 400 kilometers in the pre-mountain range, and we need a combined analysis that do directly go for the exploratory activity, practical things. For example, which are the characteristics that are necessary for some models? Where do we have them? And to focus, to pinpoint exploration. I think that the universities and the government can give important contributions to this. And geochemistry of the intrusives is also very important. The petrology, to have it very clear, petrologically clear, what is the quality of intrusives we have in the national territory, so that magmatic evolution could produce hydrothermal alterations and mineralization. And lastly, I think it's important to understand the areas with isothermal veins. This is the importance of being small. There is a great number of mineral manifestations, small dimension, small size, and with possibilities of being object for a handicraft mining that is clean, that is controlled, that is friendly with the environment, and at hand with a small mining producer, the small miner that dream of gold, dream of a vein. And probably there is not only knowledge, not only scientific knowledge, but also empirical knowledge to follow the evidences of those kind of mineralizations. Well, the gold systems related with intrusives are object of diffusion in the scientific literature at international level, the intrusion-related deposits. And it's an intrusive with hydrothermal activity that makes possible the mineralization around and the deposits of gold. This is the model we should have in mind. This is a plant view. There is a great number of small mineralization of silver, lead, zinc that are vein form, antimonium, Wolford, related to granitic intrusives that might be object that might have produced a gold mineralization. So if we learn how to understand the structural aspects and the petrologic aspects of this kind of environments, we can perfectly arrive to the verification point for these models. The characteristics of the intrusive related gold systems, a tectonic environment in the internal portion of the continental margin with magmatism, metallogenic associated to tungsten, this associated metallogeny of tungsten, and my mind goes to Wolfgang of San Luis Catamarca. My mind goes to that place where there is Wolfgang. But let's look which are the petrological aspects that can give us the knowledge to continue prospecting for gold. It's the Ishigara series of ilmenite. there is a great range of styles of mineralization, from veins to granitic halos, and all those ideas that with some strength we can review again to come out of this structure that is almost obvious, that are the porphyries and the epithermals. Well, some years ago I had the opportunity to attend to a course by Greg Hart. He's a specialist on this, and I liked this slide. Well, I think that having the amount of tungsten manifestations we have in this country, we cannot stop opening our eyes as explorers or scientists related to mining to really see these kind of environments. The gold systems, all the granitoids, I forgot their letter is granitoids. Well, Tukota, Kulampaya, names of different deposits. What do they represent? What did they represent as metallogenic elements? And which are the possibilities to have gold related to it? Well, now we go to the Carling-like deposits. We should spend one day in each model. But let me say that we have Gualcamayo and Huaylilan, the big structures that the north-south and northeast-southeast that modify the structure of the pre-mountain range with all the characteristics that are the loams, the loamy limes, the piritics, carbonaceous, dolomitic breccias, sedimentary breccias, fossiliferous, laminated, and well, why shouldn't we have a Carling in a place like that? If we have everything, then we have the orogenic and mesothermal veins in mother lode or metamorphic fields. We have forgotten that in our basement. With the basement in Argentina is discredited in the exploratory potential. So I think it would be interesting to go back and look towards those environments. The fields, accretion fields, are the best to lodge orogenic gold. All those granitoids related with volcanogenic massive sulfides, with granitoids in deep faults. If you go through the geology of Argentina, you might find all these characteristics. If you find all of them together, well, that's even better. And the OECG deposits, IOCG. I visited a prospect in Salta that had many veins with hematite and magnetite and lots of potassic alterations that looked like an adequate tectonic environment to lodge IOCG deposits. And well, these appear in all the publications that we can read in a literature. In synthesis, to end, Argentinian geology is varied enough to state that there are reasonable probabilities because we have to talk about that, probabilities, reasonable probabilities, to find deposits, to answer to models, to different models, different to those that we know better. Let's go out of the box and start looking for this this different type of deposits.